I love Mega Man. The Blue Bomber and his adventures have been a constant part of my life. From the early beginnings on the NES to my undying love for the Mega Man X series, I've played every iteration of this wonderful franchise, even including the weird ones like Mega Man X Command Mission, a gem of a game that will never see the light of day again. But you know what? There is another sub-series of Mega Man that did recently come back, in a fashion, and that's Mega Man Battle Network, brought back to the light in the form of the Legacy Collection, gathering all 6 games of the series. I've been excitedly playing through the collection, but I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't know much about this one. It's over 20 years old, and this is its first re-release. Fortunately for you, that's what I'm here for, to tell you everything you need to know about Mega Man Battle Network. And as always, I'll keep it short. Mega Man Battle Network was developed by the now-defunct Capcom Productions Studio 2, an internal studio responsible for the Onimusha series. The studio originally intended to create a horror game for the soon-to-be-released Game Boy Advance. The team wanted to include a heart rate monitor as a gimmick, and one of the lead programmers, Koetsu Matsuda, even took trips to the Expoland amusement park to visit the haunted house for research and inspiration. But use of the heart rate monitor proved too difficult, so the team decided to go in a different direction. In an interview in 2016 with Inside Games, members of the development team commented that at the time, card games had become more popular, so they shifted gears to making a card game only Capcom could make. And since the new project would be aimed at younger audiences, they paired it with the Mega Man IP, thus giving birth to Mega Man Battle Network, a launch title for the Game Boy Advance and a series that would become a mainstay for the handheld. By the time the team worked on Battle Network 6, they reached the decision that if the hardware ever changed, they'd end the series and work on something new. The announcement of the Nintendo DS marked the end of the line for the Battle Network series, and Production Studio 2 would then create a spiritual successor in Mega Man Star Force, which wasn't as well received. Mega Man Battle Network takes place in an alternate reality to the Mega Man series we all know and love. The year is 2000X, and while the original world's innovation went into robotics, this world's focus was on communications and networking. This is a world where most things are connected and controlled through the internet. It's so advanced that the internet itself is its own world, and users navigate it using navigator AIs, commonly referred to as navies, digital assistants that leave Siri and Alexa in the dust. Our heroes are Lan Hikari, the grandson of this world's version of Dr. Light, and his navy, Mega Man.exe. Lan is the character you control in the physical world, and Mega Man the one you play with on the internet and engage in battles against viruses and evil navies and their operators. For fans of the classic Mega Man games, the Battle Network series brings back many of its robot characters as navies, as both enemies and allies such as Rogue, Gutsman, Elecman, and so many more. Even good old Dr. Wily is here, up to no good of course. If you're playing the Battle Network series, you're here for the gameplay. As is always the case with Mega Man, gameplay is king. The Battle Network games are isometric tactical RPGs, with random encounters on the internet where you face off against both adaptations of classic Mega Man enemies and a bunch of weird ones. Battling it out on a 3x6 grid, using combat chips, this series' own version of card-based battling to bring the punishment to enemies. The multitude of chips offering nearly endless combinations and builds, from simple cannons and swords to chips that change how tiles work or even destroy them altogether. You get a grid, enemies get a grid, everybody gets a grid, and that's your home field. Up to you if you keep it safe or worry about firing shots with the Mega Buster with chips while avoiding enemy attacks. Because that's the other thing, it might be an RPG, but movement and attacks are in real time, and you're rewarded by how fast and effectively you clear enemies. And this is without mentioning the many improvements and gimmicks brought into the series, such as style changes where depending on their playstyle, Mega Man gains different powers. Having said all this, there aren't levels. You don't level Mega Man up with experience. Instead, you find HP up and power up items and customize Mega Man.exe's performance that way. This is the part of the game that incentivizes exploration. Also, Mega Man no longer copies the powers of his enemies. Instead, he gains some of them as summons to bring out in a battle for a variety of effects. Roll hits enemies and heals you, Gutsman breaks a bunch of tiles, Proto Man slashes the crap out of enemies with his sword. Yeah, I said sword. Proto Man was made into a pseudo-Zero-like character to differentiate him from Mega Man. The internet is a world of walkways, teleportation paths, and labyrinthine sections. As the series progresses, the look of the place becomes more pleasant, more organized, and a hell of a lot more interactive. with meeting spots, boards, shops, and a wealth of NPCs to mingle with, even if the majority of navies you meet are of the generic variety. In these games, it's very easy to tell who is an important character and who isn't. Every chapter has a crisis in a very specific place, which gets its own little section of the digital world, with unique visual designs and challenges, often having puzzles, which can range from simple to entertaining to blood-boilingly frustrating. But when you save to the exact spot you're in, so it's really easy to save scum to avoid becoming too annoyed. Mega Man Battle Network games don't have what I would call the deepest of plots, oftentimes things boiling down to saving the world with the power of friendship. But it makes up for that with fun, memorable characters, both the humans in the real world and the navies. Some of these characters are wildly over the top, particularly the villains. Yeah, I know, I usually just sing the praises of the games I cover, but I've been going through this series again recently, and some things just haven't aged that well, so I figured I'd tell you about them as a heads up. If you can tolerate them, you'll have a lot of fun. If they're deal breakers, at least you know in advance. These games are old school, so no autosave and lots of random battles. It's not unusual to lose a lot of progress because you forgot to save before a big boss fight, or hell, just before a horrible random fight. The upside though, as I mentioned, saves are down to the spot on the map you're on, so if you reload, you're exactly there. There are sections in some of the titles with frankly an infuriating amount of backtracking. Go there, then return here, then go over there, then go to that other place and come back here again, in a game series with very little in the way of fast travel, and as I said, lots of random battles. Even in the games with fight-repelling type items, it can get frustrating. Music has always been strong in the Mega Man series, and though Battle Network has some choice tunes, not everything is great. There is way too much recycling of themes across the series, and too many instances of tracks with 2 or 3 notes repeated endlessly, to the point they become grating. The "we're in a crisis" theme is the worst of the bunch. Lastly, a minor thing, the series insists on putting you through the tutorial at the beginning of every game, and it's the same damn tutorial. Mega Man Battle Network is a great series, even with its flaws, which come from its age. If Capcom decides to continue the series now, a lot of it will need to change to make it more enjoyable to modern audiences. But if you can deal with the shortcomings, you'll find a great experience with lots of replayability. If you're interested, go pick up the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection now. And if you like this video, please consider pressing that like and subscribe button. Thank you, and as always, happy trails.